9:45 in the morning. It's the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM. And on the line with us this morning, Jody Rainey, the principal of the Homer Center High School. Conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Good morning, Mr. Rainey. How are you?
I'm good, Todd. How are you?
Just wonderful. Just wonderful on this Wednesday morning. Right, so let's talk about COVID-19, Homer Center's response to it. As we have talked with other school administrators from other districts, the very first order of business was making sure these kids are getting fed even though they're not in school. And I'm sure that was the case with you as well, correct?
Yes, we began our food distribution program last Thursday. The participation has been fantastic. The first day we served 155 breakfast and 155 lunches, and yesterday we did over 200 yesterday. So we've, our cafeteria staff, and we're very fortunate. We have Danny Sacco, our safety and security consultant, and so everyone that's involved in that has to go through a training program on how we handle the food, the protective equipment we wear to protect ourselves, but also as to be precaution not to spread any type of germ or virus to those people that are picking up ours. So, we're very fortunate that we have those protocols in place and have Danny's expertise to help us develop those training protocols and distribution protocols.
I was thinking about Danny being involved with the school district, and he is so good and knows so darn much that I thought, it probably takes a little extra effort to get into that Homer Center building right now because, he's going to do it right. Talk, if you would, about, how does it work out? What are the basic logistics of getting into and out of the building as a staff member and as an essential part of the school district?
Well, I think when we got the notice on the 13th that we were under a mandated closure starting the 16th, we were fortunate that we dismissed later than most other schools because we have a later start time at Homer Center for our students and staff. So we were able to basically direct our staff and students to take things that they felt they needed out of the building. And so one of the things that we did immediately was we, as of Friday, the night that the custodians closed up on the 13th, we had established protocols of people, what they have to do to recommend or to request access to the building. So what we've put into place was a system where they do a medical screening. So we have our nurse, Lisa Golick, who helps us with the medical screenings. You have to get your temperature, do a quick checklist, and you have to have a legitimate reason to be going in, and an estimated time frame in which you'll be in the building. So those protocols are in place, and that helps protect. The other thing it does too is restricting. There's a lot of parts of our building that no one's been into since the evening of the 13th, and our thought process behind that was that the more we keep people out, the information we have is the virus can live potentially on surfaces up to 9 to 10 days. Well, we're beyond 10 days already where people haven't been in parts of our building, so we can feel pretty confident that, if there was any type of viruses on our surfaces, those no longer are viable and alive. And so that was kind of our approach from the very beginning.
Yeah, keep it sealed up. Educationally, of course, the State Education Department is going to hold a media conference today to talk about some of the measures and looking forward to see what happens next from an educational standpoint. But I know that you guys have been following this all along from the State Education Department. I would assume that they're your primary source of information as to what Homer Center does next, yes?
Yeah, I think, well, actually, yesterday we got some direct guidance. PD had pushed out how PD is communicating, and I think it's very effective, is they're pushing it out to our local IU. For us, that'd be IU 28, and that would include Armstrong and Indiana counties. We're all members of IU 28. So they had a Zoom meeting yesterday that went over the various options for what they call the continuity of education. They presented 3 different possibilities, and also the challenges that go with them. So we met yesterday, and we are pushing out some stuff to our families here either today or tomorrow that will review our plan. We're going to move towards the enrichment and review option. What that simply means is we will require our teachers to provide some form of enrichment and or review to post it online, deliver it through electronic means for all students K through 12. And then it's optional, though, on the student's behalf if they complete that enrichment activity or not. Mm-hmm. We're not permitted to grade it. We're not permitted to, in any way, shape, or form, have any impact positively or negatively on a student's grade. But what it does is it maintains at least, students being engaged in things and concepts that they've already learned. And what it does for us, too, is it helps us stay connected to our kids. Now, the challenges that we face with that are we did a survey before our kids departed for grades 4 through 12, and they pushed out the survey for our kindergarten through third grade last night. And now what we have is we have the data that we need to determine what families maybe have connectivity, but they don't have what we would deem an academic appropriate device, meaning that they're doing it through the phone. Mm-hmm. So we are developing, and we will communicate with those families. We have, if they're interested in picking up a device from the school, we'll have a distribution plan put into place and communicate that to those families that are in that situation. The second is we have families that we know have no connectivity, and this might not be the most ideal, but we are going to establish hotspots in our parking lots, and we're going to make times available where people could come in and in our parking lot access the education continuity stuff that we're providing if they so desire through established hours through the hotspots that we have in our parking lot. It's not maybe ideal to be doing some type of enrichment activity in a parked car in the parking lot, but it's better than no alternative to get connected for those families that wish to take that option. Yeah,
it absolutely is. And you're right, keeping them engaged is extremely important because otherwise they're shutting it down. And kids they're likely to do that. If they can shut it down for a little bit, they will. Talk, if you would, because we talked again with other school administrators about how they're approaching this angle of it psychologically. And I would especially think that among elementary school students who aren't as mature as those in the high school, there has to be a bit of a fear factor for the kids about what's going on and putting it in terms understandable to them. How is Homer Center approaching that?
We pushed out immediately, Todd. Our guidance counselors, we have Mrs. Kirchie, Mr. Krajosik, and Mrs. Lieb are our three counselors in the Homer Center School District. So they immediately pushed out when the mandated closures were announced, basically information. They are monitoring and available via email. So if any family has a concern, they have pushed out some, strategies or suggestions on how to talk to your child if they are, experiencing anxiety or concern over COVID-19 and those types of things. So they are available via email. And also if someone doesn't have email, they can call, and if they leave a voice message at their extension at the school, each of our counselors have the ability to get their messages, voice messages via their email, and they would return that call directly to the parent. Mm-hmm. We've had a few kids, call in, or we've had some families call in. We got that update yesterday. And, so if anyone out there knows of anyone in that situation that lives in the Homer Center community, we certainly would ask you to reach out to our counselors. And that information is up on our Facebook page. And, we do have a coronavirus updates link on our district website at homercenter.org that should also provide that information on how to contact the counselors if they're needed.
Is there anything else that the public needs to know that it might not or needs to have reinforced with them this morning?
No, I think our community, we've engaged Center Township and Homer City Borough. Those are the two municipalities that make up the Homer Center School District. So we have engaged with conversations with both municipalities and we are, have plans if this ramps up, and so that, be assured that we will be able to respond if it gets worse, and so we have those partnerships in place. There's a lot of communication daily amongst the superintendents of Indiana County and Armstrong counties, just to kind of use each other as resources. And so I commend the superintendents. I think they've done a fantastic job of trying to have a consistent message to each of our communities. That doesn't mean it's an identical message. It just means it's consistent, because we all have our own, challenges within our each district that are unique to our districts. And I just tell families, please follow the recommendations of the CDC. I think if we do that, if we practice social distancing, if we practice good hygiene, if we do the things that we've been asked to do, then we will get to the back end of this sooner than later. And ultimately the goal, and I'm more optimistic today than maybe I was earlier in the week, that we may get back to school at some point this year. And so be patient, because information is all coming in quickly and it's changing quickly, and we're doing our best to communicate that to, I can speak for Homer Center. We're doing the best to make sure that we provide the most accurate information, and even though I know that people maybe want it faster, we will err on the side of accuracy over speed at every turn.
Absolutely. All right, very good. He is Jody Rainey, principal at the Homer Center High School. Jody, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Todd, and thanks for everything you guys are doing to kind of get the message out there. And and we do appreciate everything that Renda's doing to try to promote community health. You guys are doing a great job, so I appreciate that very much.
Well, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day today.
Okay, you too, Todd. We'll talk to you soon.
Jody Rainey, the principal at the Homer Center High School.